Hey guys, Miss Calamaio here, and today I'm going to start reading from one of my favorite books as a child. It's called The 21 Balloons by William Peen Dubois. And if you haven't heard of that, that's not surprising because it was published in 1947 and won the Newbery Award in 1948. But it's really good, and I remember I really liked it as a kid. So today I'm going to read the introduction. All right, so here's the first page. On the ribbon on the bottom, it says, "To my wife with love." Okay, so the 21 Balloons has an introduction. So it's not chapter 1, it's the introduction. And there's another paper or picture. There are two kinds of travel. The usual way is to take the fastest imaginable conveyance along the shortest road. The other way is to not care particularly where you are going or how long it will take you or whether you will get there or not. These two methods of travel are perhaps easiest to be seen by watching hunting hounds. And if you're not sure what a hound is, it's a dog. One hound will follow his nose directly to his prey. Another will follow his nose in a roundabout way to molehills, empty rabbit holes, garbage cans, and trees, and perhaps not pay any attention to his prey even when he happens upon it. This second way of getting around has always been pointed out as the nicest, for, as you can see in the case of the slower hunting hound, you are able to see more of what is going on in the world and also how nature is getting along. Not long from now, in the atomic age, it is easy to imagine that travel will be tremendously fast. In order to travel, for example, from New York to Calcutta, you will simply have to walk into a station in New York, through one door into a room beamed on Calcutta, out another door into the station in Calcutta, then on out into Calcutta's streets. It will take you no longer than it takes you to walk through any ordinary room, and you won't feel a thing. What will happen when you enter the room is that you will atomically will be, let me start over. What will happen when you enter the room is that you will be atomically broken down into a radio wave, transmitted by radio to Calcutta, and atomically restored upon being picked up by the radio receiver in Calcutta. The instant you are no longer in New York, you will be in Calcutta in the same way as the instant a man's voice leaves a radio station, it can be picked up anywhere in the world. Travel to any capital in the world will be instantaneous. For once man discovers the deeper secrets of nature, time and space will stop being paired together. You will hear of miles, and you will hear of hours, but the expression miles per hour will be most old-fashioned. The best way of travel, however, if you aren't in any hurry at all, if you don't care where you are going, if you don't like to use your legs, if you want to see everything quite clearly, if you don't want to be annoyed at all by any choice of directions, is in a balloon. In a balloon, you can decide only when to start and usually when to stop. The rest is left entirely to nature. How fast you will go and where is left to the winds. It is a wonderful way to travel, particularly if you want to travel from your home to school. You get up early in the morning with your school books, climb into the basket, look in the direction of the schoolhouse, untie the ropes, and fly off. On your way, many delightful things can happen, such as A, the wind will be calm and you'll never get to school. B, the wind will blow you in the wrong direction and take you 50 miles out into the country away from school. And C, you might decide to play hooky just once and nobody can bother you in a balloon. Then 2, you might fly over a ballpark on the way and change your mind as you make a quick descent onto the roof of the grandstand. Or if you pass any lakes on the way to school, you can drop a line and do some line fishing. Balloon travel is the best, particularly between home and school. These ideas on travel went through the head of a rather nice old professor named William Waterman Sherman. Professor Sherman had been teaching arithmetic at a school for boys in San Francisco for 40 years and was thoroughly tired of the idea. At first, he thought of balloon travel only as a wonderful way of going to school because he was so tired of teaching. Then he thought of balloon travel as a way of spending a year of rest after retiring. At the age of 66, he stopped teaching, built himself a huge balloon, and filled the balloon's basket full of food. In this giant balloon, he thought he could float around for a whole year, out of touch with the earth, with nobody to bother him and leaving his destination to the winds. This book, The 21 Balloons, tells of his exciting trip. It is exciting, for he ran into trouble right away, including such disturbances as the greatest explosion in the history of the world. It also tells of just about every kind of free balloon travel known to man, and of a few balloon inventions unknown until now. The period of the book is the period when balloons were most popular, 1860 to 1890. Half of this story is true, and the other half might very well have happened. Some of the balloon inventions in this book were actually built with success. Some were designed by famous balloonists who didn't have enough money to build them and try them out. The others might easily have happened too. The part about the Pacific island of Krakatoa is true. There is a volcanic island of that name in the Pacific, and it did blow up with the biggest explosion of all time, so that it is now half as big as it was in 1883. Krakatoa was 1,400 feet above sea level before the explosion. After the explosion, it was a submarine cavity with its bottom more than 1,000 feet below the sea. The sound of the explosion was heard as far as 3,000 miles away, which is the greatest distance sound has ever been known to travel. The violence of the eruption caused dust, ashes, and stones to be hurled 17 miles high into the air. The black cloud of ejected material darkened an area with a radius of 150 miles from the eruption. Waves generated by the explosion reached a height of 50 feet, destroying countless vessels, swamping and inundating and completely destroying villages on islands hundreds of miles away, and causing thousands of casualties. This book is the story of Professor William Waterman Sherman's unusual voyage, of his fabulous friends and unusual life on the island of Krakatoa, ending with the noisiest day in the life of any man in history. Here's another picture. That is the end of the introduction.